Listen carefully. You're here because you're tired of being ordinary, tired of the endless cycle of motivation, collapse, and regret. And the brutal truth is this: the world doesn't reward your feelings, it rewards your results. Power doesn't come to those who wait for inspiration. Power belongs to the man who shows up, relentlessly, mercilessly, without apology. Force yourself to be consistent. This is the law that separates kings from pawns. Not consistency when it's convenient, not when the mood strikes. Consistency when you're broken, when you're tired, when every excuse feels justified. That's the battlefield where men are forged. You don't earn respect by being comfortable. You earn it by being unstoppable. Understand this: weakness hides in hesitation. Mediocrity breeds in comfort. And every time you let yourself slip, you confirm your own irrelevance. But the man who forces consistency bends reality to his will. He doesn't wait for permission, he takes it. If you're ready to step into that version of yourself, declare it now. Comment these words below. Discipline makes me untouchable. Write it as a promise to yourself, as a warning to the world. 1. Machiavellian law of consistency. Machiavelli understood something most men never grasp. The foundation of power is not brilliance, it's repetition. He wrote of rulers who lasted not because they were loved, but because they were feared, respected, predictable in their dominance. Consistency is what turns you into a weapon. It transforms scattered effort into unshakable momentum. You think greatness comes from occasional bursts of intensity. Wrong. That is weakness disguised as effort. A lion that hunts only when it feels like it starves. A man who acts only when inspired fails. The Machiavellian law is clear. Consistency crushes resistance. Consistency bends chance in your favor. The world will try to distract you, tempt you, seduce you into breaking rhythm. Your enemies want you inconsistent, unreliable, erratic, because unpredictability is weakness when it comes from lack of control. True Machiavellian power lies in mastering yourself so completely that your routine becomes your empire. Ask yourself this: can people count on your discipline? Do you move like clockwork, or do you dissolve under pressure? If you hesitate, you've already lost. Prove otherwise. Comment now. Consistency is my crown. Etch it into your mind. Make it law. 2. The enemy within. Your greatest enemy is not out there. It isn't your rivals, your doubters, or the people who secretly want you to fail. Number. The most dangerous enemy you will ever face lives inside your own mind. It's the voice that whispers, "You've done enough today." It's the weakness that convinces you tomorrow is a better day to start. It's the hidden saboteur that wants you comfortable, predictable, and soft. This is the internal war. And most men lose it before they even step onto the battlefield of life. They let their emotions dictate their actions. They allow fear to paralyze them, fatigue to silence them, and pleasure to distract them. That is why they remain invisible, irrelevant, and powerless. But you, if you are listening now, you must be different. You must recognize the enemy within and treat it with the same ruthlessness Machiavelli advised rulers to treat traitors. Crush hesitation before it grows. Silence excuses before they speak. Dominate your own mind so thoroughly that no weakness survives. Remember, control of the external world begins with control of the internal one. Until you master yourself, you will forever be a puppet to your impulses. The man who disciplines his inner world is feared, respected, and untouchable. Ask yourself, are you in command, or are you just reacting to your emotions? Every moment you delay, your inner enemy grows stronger. Every excuse you accept is a surrender. Do not negotiate with weakness. Do not show mercy to hesitation. If you understand, prove it now. Comment these words. I conquer myself first. That phrase is not motivation, it is strategy. And once you master it, nothing outside of you can ever break you. 3. Ruthless discipline as power. Discipline is not glamorous, it is not romantic. It is ruthless, cold, and often invisible. But understand this, the man who builds discipline builds power. Not the fragile power of chance, not the fleeting power of luck, but the unshakable iron power of self-command. The world worships talent, but talent collapses without discipline. Ambition fades without discipline. Even brilliance turns to dust without discipline. What is left? A man with wasted potential, mocked by time, remembered by no one. That is the fate of the undisciplined, and it is a fate you must spit on. Machiavelli taught that rulers must act with cold calculation. You cannot always control fortune, but you can control how prepared you are when fortune arrives. Discipline ensures readiness. Discipline ensures you do not miss your strike. A man who acts only when he feels like it is a slave. A man who acts because he decided he must, no matter what, becomes feared. Discipline is the currency of power. It buys you mastery over yourself, and through that, mastery over others. People trust the disciplined. They fear the disciplined, because consistency, when forged with discipline, creates inevitability. The disciplined man is inevitable. Ask yourself, what is your daily law? Do you wake with clarity, or do you crawl through chaos? Every habit, every action repeated, is either strengthening your empire or dismantling it. Ruthless discipline is not optional. It is the foundation of everything. If you want to be untouchable, you must move with the certainty of a machine and the precision of a predator. Ruthless discipline does not ask how you feel. It commands what you must do. So engrave this truth. When discipline becomes law, weakness has no air to breathe. That is when you rise above mediocrity and step into sovereignty. Prove you understand. Comment now. Discipline is destiny. Etch it into your mind. The man who lives by that law cannot be broken, cannot be delayed, cannot be ignored. 4. The calculated use of fear. Fear is a weapon. Most men are ruled by it, paralyzed by it, or destroyed by it. But the Machiavellian mind knows something different. Fear is not to be avoided, it is to be mastered, sharpened, and wielded like a blade. A man who understands fear can use it to break others, and to build himself into something untouchable. First, understand this. Fear is nature's oldest command. It keeps the herd obedient. It keeps the weak predictable. The rulers of history, the emperors, the conquerors, they did not beg for love. They demanded respect. They engineered fear. Love is fragile, conditional, fleeting. Fear is harder, sharper, more durable. Machiavelli himself said it is safer to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, he was not wrong. But here lies the deeper truth. Before you can use fear against others, you must learn to use it against yourself. Your fear of failure, of regret, of weakness, this must not cripple you. It must drive you. A man who fears mediocrity more than he fears pain becomes unstoppable. Fear becomes fuel. Every doubt, every hesitation, every whisper of "you can't" becomes the fire that burns you forward. Now turn outward. How do you make others respect you? Not by begging, not by chasing approval, but by building a presence so disciplined, so consistent, so relentless that people fear the consequences of underestimating you. Your reputation must carry weight. Your words must land like steel. When people deal with you, they must feel that missteps will cost them. That is how power is preserved. But beware, fear must be controlled, never reckless. Too much and you create rebellion. Too little and you become ignored. The art lies in balance, appearing approachable but untouchable, human but dangerous, calm but capable of ruthless response. Ask yourself, do people hesitate before they waste your time? Do they measure their words around you? Or do they treat you like air, common, forgettable, replaceable? If it's the latter, you have failed to build fear. And failure here means weakness, and weakness means defeat. So here is the law. Never hide your strength, never soften your presence. You do not need to roar constantly, but the shadow of your bite must always be felt. People should never wonder if you're capable. They should wonder how far you're willing to go. If you understand, prove it now. Comment. Fear sharpens my power. Write it, repeat it, live it. Because the man who wields fear wisely becomes more than respected. He becomes inevitable. 5. Power through emotional detachment. Emotions are the chains that enslave men. Anger blinds them, love weakens them, envy poisons them, and despair paralyzes them. A man ruled by emotion is predictable, fragile, and easily broken. That is why the true Machiavellian builds himself into something colder, sharper, detached, not heartless, but controlled, not without feeling, but immune to being ruled by it. Understand this. Detachment is not indifference. It is mastery. It is the ability to feel emotion, acknowledge it, and then act according to strategy instead of impulse. Anger can be a weapon, but only if you are holding it by the handle, not the blade. Compassion can be useful, but only when directed, never when it floods uncontrollably. Love can inspire loyalty, but if it blinds you, it becomes your downfall. History is filled with leaders who lost everything because they let emotion override calculation. They trusted the wrong ally out of love. They attacked in rage instead of waiting with patience. They surrendered to despair when pressure crushed them. Weak men drown in their own storms. Strong men sail through them, unshaken. Detachment is the difference. Ask yourself, how often do your feelings dictate your actions? How often do you lash out, hesitate, or fold because emotion hijacked reason? Every time you act on impulse instead of discipline, you hand your enemies power. You give them the strings to control you like a puppet. Detach. Learn to step back from every situation and view it as if you were outside yourself, analyzing the board. This is cold power psychology. When insulted, do not react immediately. When provoked, do not strike until the timing benefits you. When tempted by comfort, do not surrender until you calculate the cost. Detachment grants you clarity. Clarity grants you leverage. And here is the paradox. By mastering detachment, you gain greater influence over others. People are slaves to their emotions. They lash out, they panic, they overextend. If you remain calm while others burn, you control the board. You decide when to advance, when to retreat, when to crush. The detached man always wins the long game. This is why Stoicism matters. It is not weakness to feel less. It is strength to rule yourself completely. Your coldness becomes your shield. Your discipline becomes your sword. And people, seeing that they cannot shake you, begin to respect and fear you. So here is your command. Stop being reactive. Stop being ruled. Step outside your emotions and turn them into tools. Detachment is not the absence of humanity. It is the presence of mastery. Prove your resolve. Comment below. I rule my emotions. They do not rule me. Stamp those words into your mind. The man who practices emotional detachment is not simply strong. He is untouchable. 6. The power of silence and secrecy. Power is not always built by what you say. More often, it is built by what you do not say. Silence is not emptiness. It is a weapon, a shield, a cloak that blinds those who seek to predict you. The world is addicted to noise. Men shout to prove themselves, reveal too much to gain approval, expose their weaknesses just to feel validated. But the Machiavellian knows silence is strategy. Secrecy is survival. When you speak too much, you bleed information. Every word gives away fragments of your strategy, your fears, your ambitions. Your rivals collect those fragments, assemble them, and use them against you. The fool thinks that being open earns trust. In reality, being open invites manipulation. The fewer people know about your true thoughts, the harder it is for anyone to control you. Machiavelli himself warned that appearances must be managed carefully. You give just enough to create perception, never so much that people see the truth. Silence forces others into uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds respect. People fear what they cannot read. they fear the man who listens more than he speaks, because in silence you are gathering intelligence while they are exposing themselves. Think of it as a game of cards. The loud man shows his hand because he cannot contain himself. The silent man plays close to the chest, keeping others guessing until the moment he strikes. That moment of revelation, when his move is finally made, is devastating because no one saw it coming. Secrecy goes further than silence. Silence is withholding words. Secrecy is concealing actions. Your plans should live in shadow until they are ready to be executed. Announcing goals before they are achieved invites interference. Revealing your strategies before they are complete opens the door for sabotage. The Machiavellian law is this: conceal until victory. Then, and only then, reveal what you have already secured. But understand, silence and secrecy are not cowardice, they are control. The man who blurts out every thought has no filter, no discipline, no power. The man who cultivates silence and hides his intentions radiates mystery. Mystery breeds intrigue. Intrigue breeds fear. And fear, once again, protects power. Ask yourself, do people know too much about you? Do they know your weaknesses, your ambitions, your insecurities? If yes, then you've already surrendered ground. Close the gates, guard your words, reserve your energy for action, not chatter. The quiet man is underestimated. That is his greatest advantage. He speaks little, but when he does, his words cut like blades because they are rare, deliberate, calculated. People lean in to hear him. They weigh every syllable. That is influence. That is control. Practice silence. Withhold more than you reveal. Answer with precision, not noise. Let others drown in their own words while you sharpen your own position. Practice secrecy. Build in the shadows. Execute in the light. The world sees the result, but never the process. And when people finally realize what you've built, it will already be too late for them to stop it. That is the essence of Machiavellian silence and secrecy. Invisibility until impact. Now it's your turn. Comment these words. My silence is power. My secrecy is protection. Write it not as motivation, but as law, because the man who commands silence, who cloaks himself in secrecy, cannot be predicted, cannot be controlled, and cannot be broken. 7. The psychology of control and influence. Power is not only built by force. The sharpest rulers, the most feared men in history, did not dominate solely with swords, but with minds. They understood psychology, the mechanics of influence, the art of control, and you must learn the same. Influence is invisible warfare. It is not always about what you do to people. It is about what you can make them do to themselves. Control begins with perception. People rarely see reality. They see the version of reality you present. The Machiavellian mind does not rely on truth. It relies on the appearance of truth. If you want authority, you must appear certain, competent, unshaken. If you want loyalty, you must appear valuable, irreplaceable. If you want fear, you must appear capable of ruthlessness. Whether or not you feel these things inside is irrelevant. What matters is the perception you create. Understand that people crave direction. Most men are weak, distracted, unsure of themselves. They are desperate for someone to tell them where to go, what to do, how to think. Step into that void. Present yourself as the one who knows. Your calm presence, your controlled words, your aura of inevitability. These make people gravitate toward you. They will follow, not because you force them, but because they cannot imagine leading themselves. That is control. Influence also requires leverage. Every person has needs, fears, and desires. If you learn to identify them, you learn how to bend them. The ambitious crave recognition. The insecure crave approval. The fearful crave safety. The greedy crave gain. Once you see their weakness, you hold the strings. Pull them gently, and they move where you want. Pull too hard, and they may resist. Balance is the art. Machiavelli advised rulers to study men as they are, not as they should be. That is dark psychology. stripping away the illusions people paint about themselves and seeing the raw mechanics of their behavior. They are not noble, they are not pure, they are selfish, emotional, and predictable. When you see this clearly, you stop being surprised, you stop being manipulated. Instead, you become the manipulator. But let me be clear, control does not mean chaos. Influence does not mean lies for the sake of lies. It means strategy. Sometimes the best way to dominate is through truth spoken at the right moment. Sometimes the best way to control is through silence, letting people trap themselves with their own words. The goal is not to speak constantly, but to speak with precision. Every phrase engineered to move minds like pieces on a chessboard. Ask yourself, are you leading or are you being led? When you walk into a room, do people feel your presence shift the atmosphere? Or do you vanish into the noise, unnoticed, irrelevant? True influence means that even your silence speaks, even your absence is felt, even your smallest gesture directs the actions of others. And here is the deepest law of control. Mastery over yourself precedes mastery over others. If you cannot control your impulses, how will you control anyone else? If you cannot discipline your words, your silence, your emotions, then you will always be reactive. And the reactive man is a pawn in someone else's game. Influence demands detachment, clarity, and ruthless consistency. So build it. Speak less, but with weight. Watch more and reveal little. Study everyone around you, their tells, their desires, their weaknesses. Gather knowledge silently, then act with precision. You do not need to dominate loudly. Influence is subtle, control is quiet, but its effects echo loudly because the man who pulls strings behind the curtain always writes the fate of the stage. If you understand this law, prove it. Comment below, I control the game, I cannot be controlled. Make it your declaration, your shield, your weapon, because the man who masters influence does not chase power, he makes power chase him. 8. Building an aura of authority. Authority is not requested. It is not begged for. It is projected, demanded, and enforced through presence. Men of power do not ask for recognition. They radiate it. They walk into a room and the air shifts. Their silence commands more weight than another man's shouting. This is no accident. It is cultivated. It is the deliberate construction of an aura. And once you master it, you no longer need to fight for respect. People hand it to you willingly. Understand this. Authority is built long before you speak. It begins with consistency. Your habits shape your reputation, and your reputation becomes your aura. If people witness you as disciplined, precise, and relentless over time, they begin to expect greatness from you. This expectation itself is power. It places you above others before you even open your mouth. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality in politics and war. If people believe you are strong, then you are strong because they behave accordingly. If people believe you are inevitable, then you become inevitable because they stop resisting. Authority is not about who you truly are. It is about who they believe you to be. Craft that belief. Guard it ruthlessly. How do you build it? First, your presence. Carry yourself as if no moment is wasted, as if no movement is accidental. Stand tall, move deliberately, eliminate nervous habits. The body speaks louder than words, and a man who appears in control of himself appears in control of everything around him. Authority is visual before it is verbal. Second, your words. Speak less, but with clarity and weight. When you speak, do not rush, do not stutter, do not over-explain. Every sentence should cut directly to the core. People will remember the sharpness of your speech long after they forget the noise of others. Speak like a blade, rarely unsheathed, but impossible to ignore. Third, your discipline. A man who is consistent in his routines, relentless in his pursuit, and unshaken by distraction projects inevitability. When others quit, you endure. When others waver, you remain steady. This steadiness builds your aura. People begin to trust your strength and fear your persistence. They know you cannot be moved easily, and that knowledge becomes a wall around you. Fourth, mystery. Reveal less than you conceal. Share enough to spark intrigue, never enough to lose control. Authority grows when people know you are capable, yet cannot fully measure your depth. They respect the surface and fear what lies beneath. The aura of authority thrives on controlled uncertainty. Ask yourself, when people meet you, do they sense a man in command, or do they sense a man drifting? Do they look to you for direction, or do they dismiss you as background noise? If the latter, you lack the aura, and without aura, your words carry no weight. Authority is not brute force, it is psychological dominance. People obey those they perceive as superior. They bend to those who appear untouchable. You do not need to demand respect. You create an atmosphere where disrespect is unthinkable. That is the Machiavellian path. But remember, your aura must be defended. One slip into weakness, one public loss of control, and cracks appear in the image. Protect it with discipline. Guard it with consistency. Do not show hesitation, panic, or desperation in public. These are poisons to authority. If you must bleed, bleed in the shadows, never before the crowd. The man who cultivates authority transforms himself into a living symbol. People respond not only to him, but to what he represents: strength, certainty, inevitability. This is why aura matters. Symbols outlive the man himself. Your presence must become larger than your flesh, your shadow longer than your frame. So here is your command. Build your aura daily, through silence, discipline, posture, and words chosen like weapons. Do not wait for respect. Radiate it until people cannot deny it. And once your aura is built, protect it with every breath, because it is both your shield and your sword. If you understand, declare it now. Comment below. My presence commands respect. Write it, repeat it, engrave it. Because the man who masters authority no longer competes for power, he becomes power itself. 9. The fortress mindset. Every empire that stood the test of time had one thing in common: fortifications, walls that shielded them, strategies that guarded them, defenses that made them untouchable. A man must do the same. You are the empire. And without a fortress mindset, you will be invaded, weakened, and destroyed from the inside out. Understand this: the fortress is not about hiding. It is about protecting what matters most: your mind, your discipline, your mission. Most men live exposed. They let anyone walk into their lives, plant poison in their thoughts, steal their focus, and drain their energy. They are wide open, soft targets. The fortress mindset eliminates this vulnerability. It creates barriers that protect you from distractions, parasites, and emotional sabotage. Machiavelli warned that fortresses could become traps if misunderstood. A ruler who hides behind walls and cuts himself off from reality becomes blind and brittle. The true fortress is not isolation. It is controlled access. It is knowing what to let in and what to keep out. For the modern warrior, this means mastering boundaries. Guard your time. Guard your attention. Guard your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to you. Very few should ever get inside your fortress. The foundation of the fortress mindset is discipline. Without discipline, your walls are paper. Every routine you build, every consistent action, every refusal to break your code, it lays stone upon stone, making you harder to shake. Discipline keeps the enemy at the gates. The second layer is detachment. If you allow emotions to breach your fortress, they will sabotage your defenses from within. Anger, envy, desperation, these are spies disguised as allies. Do not let them in. View them from the walls, recognize their presence, and deny them entry. The detached man cannot be manipulated because no one can pull the strings of his emotions. The third layer is secrecy. Do not reveal your fortress plans. Keep your strategies hidden until they are complete. Share only what is necessary to mislead, never enough to compromise. Your enemies cannot breach what they cannot see. Let your victories announce themselves only when they are irreversible. The fourth layer is resilience. Your fortress will be tested. Life will launch sieges against you. Betrayal, failure, hardship, loss. Weak men collapse at the first strike. Strong men reinforce their walls. Every challenge you survive makes your fortress stronger. Every scar becomes new armor. Resilience turns setbacks into reinforcements. But do not confuse a fortress mindset with cold loneliness. A fortress is not empty. It is occupied by chosen allies, loyal guards, and trusted advisors. The wise ruler lets few inside, but those who enter are carefully selected for loyalty and value. In your life, this means choosing your circle wisely. Do not allow leeches, doubters, or the weak-willed to sit inside your walls. They are liabilities. Build a circle of strength, not weakness. Ask yourself, are you living like a fortress or like an open field? Do people drain your energy freely? Do distractions penetrate your focus daily? If yes, then your walls are broken and you are vulnerable. Until you repair them, you will never be untouchable. The fortress mindset is the highest form of self-respect. It tells the world, I am valuable. My time, my focus, my mission, they are not free. They must be earned. And once your fortress is built, people will approach you differently. They will hesitate before wasting your time. They will measure their words before speaking carelessly. They will recognize that your walls are high and only the worthy are allowed in. This is power. The fortress mindset makes you unshakable. The storms may rage outside, the enemies may gather at your gates, but inside your fortress, you remain steady, calculating, untouchable. Declare it now. Comment below. My mind is my fortress. Prove to yourself and to the world that you are no longer open to weakness, because the man who builds the fortress mindset cannot be broken from without and will never collapse from within. 10. Becoming untouchable. Untouchable. That is the ultimate state. Not simply strong, not simply disciplined, but unmovable, unbreakable, unreachable by the ordinary games of the world. To be untouchable is to rise above distraction, temptation, and weakness. It is to become the man who cannot be manipulated, cannot be bent, cannot be destroyed. And every law I have spoken to you, consistency, discipline, detachment, silence, secrecy, fear, authority, the fortress mindset has been building toward this one goal. The untouchable man does not live for validation. He does not chase approval. He does not beg to be accepted. He shapes himself into his own law, his own system, his own standard. He is sovereign. Others bend around him. He does not bend for them. This is why the untouchable man becomes respected, feared, and eventually remembered. Machiavelli wrote of rulers who maintained power not by pleasing everyone, but by making themselves indispensable. The untouchable man applies this principle to his life. He makes himself indispensable through consistency, because reliability is rare. He makes himself indispensable through discipline, because endurance is feared. He makes himself indispensable through detachment, because clarity cuts through chaos. His silence protects him. His secrecy shields him. His aura commands obedience. His fortress guards his empire. Piece by piece, he forges untouchability. But hear me, untouchable does not mean invulnerable. It means resilient. The untouchable man will be attacked, doubted, envied, betrayed, but he does not crumble. He absorbs the strike, adjusts, and continues. Every attack only proves his strength. Every betrayal only sharpens his caution. Every setback only fortifies his resolve. Untouchability is not the absence of challenge. It is mastery over response. Ask yourself, what breaks you now? Is it insult, rejection, failure, fatigue? If you know the trigger, then you know where your fortress still has cracks. The untouchable man identifies those cracks and seals them with discipline. He does not wait for the world to exploit his weaknesses. He hunts them down and eliminates them himself. That is sovereignty. That is power. To be untouchable is also to play the long game. Most men burn out because they chase instant results. The untouchable man moves patiently, strategically, calculating years in advance. He knows that temporary discomfort, temporary sacrifice, temporary pain are investments. And those investments compound into something permanent: dominance. Others will never understand your path. They will question it, mock it, resist it. Let them. Their voices are irrelevant. The untouchable man does not explain himself. He does not argue with mediocrity. He moves in silence, executes in secrecy, and lets the results speak louder than any debate. While others waste energy defending their opinions, he expands his empire. The psychology of being untouchable is simple, but not easy. Control what you can control. Master what you can master. Detach from everything else. Weak men break because they try to control the uncontrollable. They rage against chaos. The untouchable man accepts chaos, but refuses to be ruled by it. He adapts, he adjusts, he endures, he remains. Your mission is to now embody this state, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Begin by mastering yourself daily. Build your fortress, guard your silence, sharpen your authority, use fear when necessary, detach from distractions, and above all, force consistency into your bones until it becomes who you are, not just what you do. Because without consistency, nothing survives. With it, everything endures. And when you reach this level, you will notice the shift. People will speak of you differently. They will respect your time. They will measure their tone. They will test you less because they will sense something unshakable in you. That is the aura of the untouchable. It cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It must be earned in silence, forged in discipline, and defended with ferocity. So I ask you one final time, are you ready to become untouchable? If yes, prove it here and now. Comment below, I am untouchable. Stamp those words with conviction. Let it be your oath, your law, your declaration to the world. And if this message struck you, if it burned truth into your mind, then do what must be done. Like this video, subscribe to Mental Fort, and turn on notifications, because this is not entertainment, this is transformation. Each word, each law, each strategy is a weapon for your arsenal. Use them, forge yourself, rise. The world respects power, the world bows to the untouchable, and from this moment forward, that must be you.